My brother Jake always had a type. You know the kind. The kind of woman who has to be the smartest person in the room, who corrects you mid-sentence just to prove a point. But even for him, Melissa was a lot. He'd been dating her for maybe 4 months when he decided to bring her to Thanksgiving at our parents' house. We'd heard about her. Melissa the teacher. Melissa the perfectionist. Melissa who's just a little misunderstood. The minute she walked through the door, she had that kind of energy that made the room hold its breath. Every sentence out of her mouth carried a little hidden insult wrapped in a smile. She complimented my mom's decorations, but said, "It's cute, very vintage." She said my dad's playlist felt like a middle school dance. My mom's turkey, a little dry for my taste. I saw my mom's polite smile falter for the first time in years. She even asked if we always use store-bought rolls and mentioned, twice, that her family does a full seafood spread instead of the usual heavy stuff. But what really got me, what really made my blood run cold, was how she treated my 5-year-old daughter. My little girl was so excited to tell everyone about her upcoming school play. She stood there, in her sparkly pink sweater, proudly announcing, "Me and my friend are going to be trees." And without missing a beat, Melissa jumped in with this syrupy, condescending tone. "Your friend and I, sweetie. Not me and my friend." My daughter blinked up at her, confused. She's 5. She's just learning to read. She doesn't need to be humiliated over grammar at the Thanksgiving table. I bit my tongue the first time. But then later, when my daughter was helping my mom in the kitchen and said she'd done it, Melissa did it again. Same tone, same smug little smile. "You did it, honey." I swear, I saw my daughter's face fall. That joy, the bright, innocent kind, just dimmed a little. That was it for me. I pulled Jake aside quietly in the hallway and said, "Hey, can you tell Melissa to ease up a bit? She keeps correcting my kid and it's making her feel bad." Jake frowned immediately, like I was the problem. "She's just trying to help. She's a teacher, that's what she does," I said. "She's not her teacher, Jake. She's a guest. It's Thanksgiving. Maybe she can take a day off." Apparently, Melissa overheard us because a few minutes later, she grabbed her coat without a word, marched to the door, and left. Jake followed right after her. They didn't say goodbye, didn't thank my mom, nothing. Just gone. Dinner ended early after that. The mood had died. My mom was quiet. My dad kept carving turkey that no one wanted anymore. And my daughter was picking at her mashed potatoes like she'd done something wrong. A week later, my mom called me, voice hesitant. "Auntie, Christmas is coming up. Jake wants to bring Melissa again. Are you okay with that?" I hesitated. My gut said absolutely not. We barely knew her, and she already made the entire family walk on eggshells. So I told her, "Honestly, Mom, I'd rather she didn't come this year. Maybe next time, if things go better." My mom sighed, torn as usual between her 2 kids. Jake said he won't come if she's not invited. I felt that familiar sting. The one you get when you realize someone's already chosen their side. Later that night, I got a text from Jake. "You're being unfair. You're punishing Melissa for caring about education. If she's not welcome, I'm not coming. Education, seriously. Since when is humiliating a kindergartner at dinner education?" My husband told me to let it go for the sake of peace, but I couldn't shake the feeling that something deeper was going on. That Melissa wasn't just correcting people. She was testing how much she could control. So I decided to let things play out. But this time, I'd be ready. Christmas came faster than expected. My mom, being the peacekeeper she is, invited them both anyway. She told me quietly, "Just please be kind. I don't want drama." I promised I'd be civil. I didn't promise I'd stay quiet. When they arrived, Melissa looked perfect. Perfect curls, perfect red sweater, that same perfect smile that never reached her eyes. But what she didn't expect was that this year, my daughter had been practicing her lines for the Christmas pageant, and she was proud. As we all sat down to dinner, my daughter excitedly said, "Grandma, guess what? I'm going to be a snowflake in the Christmas play." And right on cue, Melissa turned, fork halfway to her mouth, and said in that same sugary tone, "You mean you're going to be sweetheart?" I smiled, leaned forward, and said gently, "Actually, Melissa, We don't correct people at the dinner table. Not kids, not adults. It's just something we don't do in this family. The whole table went silent. You could hear the Christmas carols from the living room clock. Melissa froze. Her cheeks turned the faintest shade of red. Jake looked like he wanted to sink into the floor. She laughed nervously. I was just helping? Yeah, I said, keeping my tone calm. But sometimes helping means knowing when to stop. My mom's eyes met mine, and for the first time, I saw relief there. My dad gave the tiniest nod. Melissa stayed quiet for the rest of dinner. Barely spoke, barely looked up. But here's where the revenge came in. Subtle, slow, burning, and oh so satisfying. A few weeks later, I found out that my mom had invited the whole extended family over for New Year's brunch. Everyone came. Cousins, uncles, aunts. Except Jake and Melissa, they'd been too busy. But then, apparently, Melissa texted my mom asking if she could borrow her famous biscuit recipe for a school potluck. My mom, bless her, said yes, but accidentally sent the wrong version, the old one. The one that used tablespoons of salt instead of teaspoons. 2 days later, I get a text from Jake. Thanks for nothing. Melissa's dish got trashed at her school event. Everyone said it was inedible. I stared at the screen for a moment, then I realized Mom hadn't accidentally sent the wrong version. Justice, apparently, runs in the family. From that day on, Melissa kept her distance. She'd still show up at the occasional dinner, but she was suddenly quiet, respectful. Never corrected anyone again. And Jake. He eventually admitted that Thanksgiving and Christmas had been a little tense. And maybe Melissa could have handled things differently. But the best part, watching my daughter, months later, proudly reading from her school book. She looked up at me and said, "Mommy, Melissa doesn't like me, huh?" I smiled. "She just doesn't understand how awesome you are yet." My daughter giggled. "That's okay. I do." And in that moment, I realized revenge doesn't always have to be loud or cruel. Sometimes it's about holding your ground, drawing your line, and letting the world see who really has the problem. Because the truth is, people like Melissa thrive on silence, on politeness, on everyone else shrinking just enough to make room for their ego. But the moment you stop shrinking, they lose their power. So if anyone out there's dealing with a Melissa, someone who hides their control behind fake smiles and helpful corrections, remember this: you don't have to fight fire with fire. Sometimes you just stop giving them oxygen. And when they finally realize no one's listening anymore, that's the sweetest revenge of all. If you've ever dealt with a no, it all who just couldn't help but put you down, hit that like button. Subscribe for more stories where karma hits right where it hurts, and tell me in the comments, what's the pettiest, most satisfying revenge you've ever seen? Would you like me to make this version slightly darker and more intense owls with stronger emotional beats and a sharper revenge payoff? Or keep it exactly in this balanced family drama tone for your channel style?